Okay, so let's go through a bunch of other chords. And we'll kind of start with the C again. Okay, it's a C major chord. Okay, and these chords we're going to first show you, we just kind of go up with that same three finger formation, just go up every white key, and you're going to come across a lot of chords that you can use in a lot of songs. And I'll probably just explain the first move up, how it changes from a just a C major to a D minor. But we're keeping that same formation, and I'm going to probably play the bass along with it. So we have a C. Okay, move everything up one. We have a D minor. Okay, the reason this is a D minor is, remember, a major is the one, and it's the three. Okay, which is 1, 2, 3. There's three keys between the one and the three, and then there's two keys between the 3 and the 5. Okay, so that's a major, and that's the formula for every key. But when we move everything up one white key, okay, remember, it was supposed to be 3 keys between the first and the third, so this happens to be just 2 keys in between, so this is a flatted third. Okay, and then this is the fifth of the D scale. So so we have a root, a flatted third, and a fifth. So that's a minor. Okay, so look at a minor. It's the root, it's the flatted third, and the fifth. Okay, so that's a D minor. So that's why it's a minor, not a major. Okay, the next one we move up. This is an E minor. Okay, first, flatted third, fifth. Okay, so we have C, D minor, E minor, F. Okay, just an F major chord again, because you have 3 spaces or 3 keys here, brings you up to the third, then 2 spaces brings you up to the fifth. All right, and then you go up one more white key, and that's a G. And then one more is an A minor. Okay, and if we go up one more, this is kind of a chord you rarely use because it sounds dissonant. And when you look at this chord, okay, it's a B, or it starts with a B. Okay, and then we have kind of a flatted third, right? Because a third would be here, because from the root to the third, there's 3 untouched keys, so we're flatting that third. So it's the root, it's a flatted third, and if it was the fifth, okay, if it was a root, a flatted third, and a fifth, that would be a B minor. Okay, and that is a B minor there. But I played the white key, so that's a flatted fifth. And what that is this first, what I call these auxiliary chords, or chords that add color, but you're not real familiar with them at first, but you'll really like to use them because they're great passing chords, and they have neat qualities. So this is a diminished chord. So a diminished chord is the root, it's a flatted third and a flatted fifth, which is what we're doing here, because we have the root, we have a flatted third, and a flatted fifth. And maybe just to go back to the C, because it's a little easier to know the scale and to know what a flatted third and a flatted fifth is. Okay, that's a major, a C major, right? First, third, and fifth, right? Because it's all the white keys. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the first, the C, the third, the E, and the G is the fifth. So that's a major chord. Well, the diminished chord, you're flattening the third and the fifth. So you'll kind of get, if you ever want to use that chord, and lots of times it sounds good just playing the major chord and then just transitioning right to the diminished chord by moving these 2 fingers, from the third and the fifth to the flatted third and flatted fifth. Okay, so it kind of has that dissonant sound, or that melancholy sound. So you go C, okay, and another chord that I don't have written up there, I don't think, where you just kind of continue with those 2 fingers and drop them down one more key. And and resolve just on the major chord. So you kind of go. All right, so it's a major, diminished. I don't know what the name of that is. Back to the major. Okay. So let's look at an augmented, or a chord. Sometimes it's notated with a plus sign. So it could be a C augmented or a C plus. It's basically the 1, the 3, and a sharped 5. Okay. So here's the 5th. So let's sharp it, which just means to bring it up, 1 key. And that's kind of a chord that you use to sort of lead into the next chord. So if you're playing C, and it almost sounds like you can even go up to the next note and back down to the sharp 5th. Okay, but just you'll sort of hear things and you'll try different things. It's always cool just to keep a couple of the notes consistent and just move one of the fingers. So again, augmented is you're starting kind of with that the major chord, the 1, 3, and the 5, and add and just sharpen the 5th. Baby, hold on to me. Whatever would be, baby. Without you on my back. And that's all Eddie Money's doing. He's just going from the major chord to an augmented chord. Okay, suspended 4th, another real common kind of resolving chord or transitional chord that kind of ends up with a resolve. But the way you do a suspended 4th, and we all know on a guitar you play a D chord and then you throw your pinky on the E string 3rd fret, and that's the suspended 4th, because basically you're taking the 3rd, which again we'll refer to the C chord, okay, and you're playing the 4th note. It's called a suspended 4th, but I like to say substitute 4th, because you're substituting a 4th for the 3rd. Okay, so it's a 3-note chord, but it's the 1, the 4, and the 5. So again, you play that C bass, and it's. So it's kind of that lead up to a resolve back onto the major chord. So it's 1, 4, 5. And you play it in a couple different configurations, or in a couple different places. I always like playing the G's kind of an easy, because the 4th is right next to the 3rd. Okay, that's a major or G, just a G chord, and the 4th is going to be one note up from the C, from the 3rd. And you can play it everywhere else. If I play a D chord, that's a D major, and we're just taking that 3rd and moving it up 1 note. So you kind of get the feel of just moving that middle finger, or whatever finger you have playing the 3rd, just up one note. Okay, a 6th chord. A 6th chord has 4 notes in it, and basically you're just playing the 1, 3, 5, which is a major chord, and you're adding the 6th. So let's teach it to ourselves again at where the C is, because we know where the 6th and the 7th and 8th are. They're all the white keys. So okay, that's a major C chord, and if that's the 1, that's the 3, that's the 5, that's the 6. Okay. But the 6, it's not a substitute. It's just in addition to the major chord. Okay, so we'll add it now. And this is, grooving. And I'm just going from a C6, okay, 1, 3, 5, and the 6, to a D minor 7th, which is Starting at the D, it's every other white key. That's a D minor 7th, which we'll get to, or we covered in the last meeting. But that's grooving. Grooving on a Sunday afternoon. And then when it changes, the cool thing is that D minor 7th shape, you know, every other key here, just goes up to an E minor 7th, but it's just everything up a white key. So it's and that's, you know, I mean, there's a few more chords in that song, but there you go. That's just some easy moves, keeping kind of the same formation. Okay, so that's again, that was kind of beginning with a C6. So it just adds that 6th note. So if I just played it in C, it misses something, but you add that 6th. Kind of gives it that cool sound. So that's a 6th. Now a minor 6 is, you know, very simple. It's just playing a minor chord and adding that 6th. So again, teach yourself these chords in the key of C. You know, there's the C minor because we're taking the 3rd and flattening it, and just throw that 6th in there. Okay. I don't tend to use this chord that much, but you'll come across songs that have a minor 6th in it, and now you know what a minor 6th is. A major 9th. Now here's a chord that's 5 notes. Okay. And let's play a major, and what it is actually it's a major 7th, which is, if you look up here, it's a 1 3 5 7, 1 3 5 7, and you add a 9th. And let's figure out where a 9th is. Well, we do it in the key of C. It's kind of easy. So let's play the major 7th, which is 1 3 5 and 7. Okay, but I need a 5th finger, so if I play it like this, you know, I find that a little hard to do. So what I do is I kind of cover the bass with playing my thumb just on the normal middle C and my pinky more on that lower bass. And I complete sort of that major 7th chord, but now I have a pinky freed up to play this note, which happens to be the 9th, because remember, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, the C is the 8 again. It's the root, or the 1, and it's the 8, and the D is the 9th. So if I'm playing the kind of covering the C with my sort of my bass hand, then I can go up, you know, to the 3, the 5, the 7, and actually, how do I play it? I sort of play it like this. So I have the root, the 3, the 5, the 7, and the 9. Kind of played lower. A lot of stuff going on in this chord. You know, it's Marvin Gaye used it a lot. Okay, well, again, you may not use it a lot, and always think about an inversion. You know, you're playing. Maybe you play the C here, and let's see. There's a D. Let's play the D here. 1 2 3. Okay, it looks like I have all the notes covered. I have a C, okay, which would be that one. A D. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. I have the E, the G, and the B, and the D I don't play here. I play the D here. So I have. See, that sounds pretty cool. Okay, and I just kind of inverted it. And there's other ways. I'm sure there's other ways you can invert it. Okay, rather than playing this high B. Kind of sounds like a Carole King song. So a major 9th is a pretty cool thing. when you get a chord that has 5 notes in it, there's a lot more interesting things that can go on in the melody. So think of that. And a minor ninth, kind of the same thing. It's the root, it's a flatted third and a fifth, which is a minor chord. Then there's a flatted seventh and a ninth. So let's see how we can play that. If we play, just the C minor part of it, or the C, the flatted third, the fifth, we need a flatted seventh, which would be the B flat. And then we need the ninth, which is the D note up there. So how can I do that? I can... well, I don't have to play that C, so I can kind of move my hands. Again, that, like, once you know the chord, once you know the notes that are in the chord, you'll find easier ways to finger things. Also, depending on the song and the chord flow, you kind of, it's best to try to play chords that are kind of close to each other. So you'll need to kind of figure out different inversions. But these chords are kind of advanced. I don't think I learned them. Maybe a year ago, I really started looking at these major ninths and minor ninths. Once I understood, that this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's a 13 chord, as a C13. I think it's, a C with the 13. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's got it's got that note in it. But I'm not going to talk about 11 or 13th chords. But these chords will get you set. Another chord, I mentioned the suspended fourth, where you're taking that third and moving that third up to a fourth, and it always likes to resolve back to a major chord. But there's a suspended 2, where again you can kind of use that word substitute. So you're going to substitute the third with a second. Okay, so instead of playing a major chord, you don't play the third, you play second. Okay, the other thing with bass, I tend to sort of play these octaves to sort of play off one another and give it some rhythm in especially if I'm just playing, alone. So I don't have a drummer, so I'm kind of going. So that's a lot more chords for you. And we'll have another lesson.